This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Wednesday, March 17. In Squiz Kids today, helping our overseas neighbours, Spain's 3-day weekends, all the Oscar-nominated kids movies, and flying with the world's biggest insect. That's what's making news, kids style.
The Lowdown.
If you looked at a map of Australia, there's a stretch of water off the north tip of Queensland called the Torres Strait. There are lots of islands in the Torres Strait, and the people who live on those islands are Australian citizens. Some of the islands, despite being part of Australia, are really, really close to Papua New Guinea, our closest neighbouring country. Some are so close that you can see the PNG coastline across the water on a clear day. Now, despite the fact that PNG is really close to Australia, its health system is not quite as advanced as the one that we have, and it's a poorer country. So they haven't been able to fight off COVID as successfully as we have here. As a result, there's been an alarming increase in the number of recorded COVID cases there, an increase that has seen the Australian government send equipment and people there to help out and hopefully prevent it from hopping across the Torres Strait and into Australia. There are also moves afoot for us to send vaccines to PNG's frontline health workers, doctors and nurses fighting the outbreak. It's all part of a wider effort by Australia to make sure all of its neighbours in the South Pacific are looked after in the pandemic, whether via help with vaccines or other support. Because we're a bigger, richer country than most of the countries in the South Pacific, it's our responsibility, just like a big brother or sister would look after their smaller siblings, to look out for our neighbours. And who doesn't want to be a good neighbour?
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Spain. Ah, beautiful Spain, where I've decided I'm going to live. After news this week that the country is considering a working week that will only be 4 days long. What a marvellous decision. You know how the traditional working week tends to be from Monday to Friday with a 2-day weekend? Well, the Spanish government is going to trial a 4-day work week with a 3-day weekend. Ay caramba, where do I sign up? It's thought that the COVID pandemic and working from home has proven that people can get just as much work done in 4 days as they can in 5. And the addition of an extra day to every weekend can only be good for the mental health of the nation. Pass the tapas and pour me a sangria. If you need me, I'll be on a plane to Spain. Oh, wait, we can't leave the country yet. Sorry, guys, you're stuck with me for 5 days a week.
Animal Kingdom.
You know when you get on a plane and you sit down and you think, I wonder who I'm going to be sitting next to? Well, one passenger aboard an Air New Zealand flight yesterday was surprised, some might say horrified, to discover she was sharing her flight with the world's biggest insect, an animal called a Weta. It was perched beside her on the wall of the plane's interior, and given these insects are about the size of a large mouse and have huge pincers, that's quite the surprising fellow passenger. The Weta was eventually convinced to crawl inside a sick bag mid-flight and then was released back into the wild when the plane touched down. And because I had never heard of this creature before, much less have any idea how to pronounce its name, I did some research and have put a link to a video explainer in today's episode notes. It's quite the creature.
Pop Culture Corner.
It's Oscars time, people. The Oscars are the big awards given out to movies and actors and actresses and movie makers in general. And yesterday, the nominees for the 2021 awards were announced. Black Panther actor, the late Chadwick Boseman, received a Best Actor nomination. When people say the late before someone's name, it means that person has passed away, which Chadwick sadly did last August. In the animated film category in the Oscar nominations, the movies fighting it out for an award this year are the Pixar flicks Soul and Onward, a movie called Wolfwalkers, a Netflix film called Over the Moon, and Shaun the Sheep's Farmageddon, which looks super cool. There are links, of course, to the trailer of each one of these films in today's episode notes. So, if you really behave in class or at home, then your teacher or the relevant adult person in your life at home might let you watch them and make your own decision about which one should win. Enjoy!
Q&A call-out.
Okay, here's a question for you. What's better than one Squiz Kids Q&A? Well, two Squiz Kids Q&As, that's what. Because that's exactly what we have in store for you before the Easter school holidays arrive. So, you know already that we've lined up Taronga Zoo tiger keeper Louise Ginman to answer your questions next week. Keep those excellent questions coming in. Well, we've also decided to stuff the Q&A schedule to overflowing and have invited kids author extraordinaire Andy Griffiths to return to the Q&A hot seat and tell you all about his brand new book, The Treehouse Joke Book. How cool is that? But instead of sending Andy questions, we want you to send him your best joke, and he will judge them and hand out a very special prize to the joke that makes him laugh so hard he falls off his chair. So, you have your marching orders. Those of you wanting to know all about the tiger world and zookeeping, send your questions to Louise. And those of you who think you've got Australia's funniest joke up your sleeve, send that through for Andy Griffiths to judge. 2 cool Q&As, 1 easy email address. squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Get to it.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the country to Australia's north currently fighting off a COVID outbreak? That's right, it's Papua New Guinea. Question number 2. Which country is about to introduce a 4-day working week? You got it, it's Spain. Question number 3. Name the animated sheep whose movie Farmageddon has just received an Oscar nomination. Yeah, it's Shaun the Sheep.
Shout-outs.
It's March 17. Top of the morning to you, because it's St. Patrick's Day. A very important day for people from Ireland, and a day that's celebrated all over the world with the wearing of green. It's also a special day for these Squiz kids celebrating a birthday today. Leon from Fairfield Heights, Dominic from Rockhampton, Eloise from Craigburn, Beau from Edithvale, Teddy from Melbourne, Ava from Queen's Park, Benny from Hunters Hill, Anthony from Kempsey, Eliza from Williamstown, Astrid from Bathurst, Sahana from New South Wales, and Eve from Jindalee. And some belated birthday shout-outs to Michelle from Stockton, Mia from Brisbane, Nimrat from Abbotsford, and Aidan from Sydney. Happy birthday, one and all. And some special shout-outs to these Squiz kids whose parents did us a huge favour this week. Evan from Surrey Hills, Emma from Broadford, Christina and George from Balmoral, Liam, Ben and Josh from Toowoomba, Eleanor from Mitcham, Noah and Maya from Narrabeen, Evie from Brighton, Bella and Charlotte from Randwick, Hope and Eve from Kew East, Justin and Mac from Middle Park, Ollie and Georgie from Canberra, Xavier and Hannah from Fairlight, Oliver and Hamish from Birchgrove, Finn from Murwillumbah, Maya from Canberra, Astrid and Rachel from Woodend, Theo and Quinn from French's Forest, and Griffin from Coochie Mudlow Island. And today's classroom shout-outs go to Class 5-6G, Mrs. Davis's 5-6D class, and all the Stage 3 classes at Abbotsford Public School. Mrs. Bradshaw and 5-6B from Illaroo Road Public School, Ms Geller's Year 5-6 class at Hopetoun Primary School, and a special shout out to Mrs Bear from Trinity Catholic School in Harden, who's celebrating a birthday today. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.